Roderick. This is Neil Kaplan. You might know me as the voice of Zarkon. I believe we were supposed to do an interview this morning at 11 a.m. I'm terribly sorry I've missed you. I'll call you at the station. See what happens.
I'm signing out.
There you go.
Love your work.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
You're in over 165 different roles, which includes a lot of, video game roles also. How did you get started in voice acting?
I kind of answer this question slightly like a jerk sometimes, because I answer it by asking the question, well, why do you want to know? Because a lot of people ask that question because they want to know how to get into the field of voice acting. And so when they want to know how I got in as a roadmap or an example for them getting in, I let them know that how I got in, that world doesn't exist anymore, and so to ignore that. But, fans who are just interested in, hey, tell me about, the beginning, and obviously in an interview situation, that's the case, so I'll be happy to share it with you. I've always been fascinated by the human voice. I was fascinated by impressionists like Frank Gorshin and Marilyn Michaels, Rich Little, and Fred Travalena from a very early age. So I started doing mimicry. I started mimicking stuff, and I had a teacher at one point in time who was a big fan of old-time radio shows, to the point where he would play them at least every Friday, and every now and then maybe on some other days of the week. And when you listen to old radio shows, it's pretty much three things: music, sound effects, and a human voice. And it was really amazing, really captivating. I had the opportunity to meet Mel Blanc, and so I started doing stage work, and everything I would do on stage always had a vocal base to it. I think I was always bored if the role was my own voice. So, you sit down and read the show with the cast for the first time, and by the time I get to the end of the script, usually I would have a voice for the character. And, one thing led to another. I did a lot of plays when I was young. I studied theater in high school and college, went to New York City, and on there one day about learning to do voiceover. Decided to give it a look. And about the same time, my uncle introduced me to a guy who was a DJ in New York City, so I ended up doing some drop-ins for his radio show. And that's where I started. And from the beginning of getting in front of a microphone and acting in front of a mic, I just kind of fell in love with it. And the rest was just the stuff I did.
Nice. That sounds like almost a purest form of getting into voice acting that I've heard.
Well, we all come to it from a different place, and it seems that a lot of the voice actors that I work with, a lot of the voice actors that I aspire to be more like, the voice actors who are my role models, we all have one thing in common, and that's live performance background. I think that lends itself to the improvisational, occasionally the improvisational nature of doing voiceover work, of finding a character. A lot of us have music in our backgrounds. I did musical theater, but there's a lot of voice actors like Jim Cummings and Rob Paulson who have professional music in their background. Robbie Riff is another one who, Quentin Flynn, they all play music. Or Jess Harnell, that's the one that was stumped me for half a second. Jess, of course, has his band Rock Sugar. So there's something to, I guess, maybe hearing tone or rhythm or the musicality of it. So it seems that's something that you'll find a lot of. And then, of course, there are a lot of people with stand-up comedy or improv in their backgrounds. And again, it's that live performance aspect of kind of adjusting in the moment.
Awesome. And we see you have a variety of roles. Just lately, Emperor Zarkon from Voltron, Digimon as HAWKMon, Optimus Prime and Transformers.
You certainly can't get too any further away from each other than HAWKMon and Zarkon. You know, I just kind of grew up, I thought you were supposed to be really, really versatile and be able to do everything. So I studied dialects. I made a concerted effort when I was younger to expand my range, to get my high notes higher and get my low notes lower. And you know, as I've gotten older, my low notes continue to develop. My high notes have kind of cut off a little bit. I can't do Beaker from the Muppets anymore, but fortunately I can still get to HAWKMON, and that's nice.
Yeah, because we hear from voice actors the term wheelhouse, and it seems your wheelhouse is the largest.
Well, you know, but here's the thing about being really versatile, and that's not to say that most voice actors aren't really versatile, but versatility can be a confusing thing. You know, sometimes it's really comforting to think of an actor and one very specific thing. You know, it's like James Earl Jones certainly doesn't have the widest of ranges if we're talking tonality. What he does have, he has a wide range as far as being an actor. You know, so somebody's thinking of a strong and voice of authority. You know, if I say those couple of words, you think of James Earl Jones, you think of Morgan Freeman, you know, and that quote-unquote lack of versatility is not necessarily a bad thing either. You know, I'd say these days I'm probably, my wheelhouse, my strength is probably considered to be the educated villain, the intelligent villain, and maybe the anti-hero, you know, kind of like Skads in Old Republic or Titus Finley in StarCraft. So I think people tend to think of me with some of the darker tones.
Wow, okay, didn't know that. And can you expand a little bit on the video game role as we're getting paid and we hear a lot of strikes and wage issues more and more?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get too political, especially in the middle of a strike action. The strike currently is a very interesting situation because it's only against a certain segment. We have producers that have already signed on to the new agreement. We have video games that are in production from before the strike action took place, which are being worked on. You know, so I've continued to work on some games while striking against some others. It's a very unique situation. But entertainment, as far as I'm concerned, is always driven to be more and more immersive. Now, whether we see that in going to the multiplex and having 20 channels of stereo sound, so the sound is all around you, so that when you're seeing Predator, it feels like you're in the jungle with Arnold, you know, or the 3D, so when you see Avatar, it's like you're on Pandora. Video games started to do this a little bit with Knights of the Old Republic, with voicing as many characters as you run into in that game, because of course in video game play, what's one of the things that divorces you from being really immersed in the game? That's reading the dialogue. Because how many times in real life do you walk up to somebody that you recognize in the store and type out what you're saying to them and then read what they're saying to you? So there's a part of the subconscious that divorces itself from the overall reality that entertainment is really striving for. You know, games want to be, as far as I'm concerned, from a fan standpoint, games want to be a movie that you can direct, a movie that you can feel like you're in the middle of, game like you're in the middle of influencing. You know, it's the whole idea that entertainment, what it really wants is to build the holodeck, you know, from Star Trek. It wants people to be able to do that. And so every piece of entertainment, every advancement that we're seeing, that we're gonna see, is about feeling more in the game, feeling more in the movie. I mean, now we've got these headsets that you put on, right, with your phone, so that you can be really feeling like you're in that world. So voice acting really is another integral part of making that happen. And in order to really make that immersive, you're going to want the best actors in the world to bring that to life.
Right.
You know, I don't know if we are the best actors in the world, but we're certainly the biggest conglomeration of better skilled, better trained, better experienced talent. And I think that's worth sharing in the success. And it's certainly part of the success, I believe, not larger or lesser than anything else, but certainly it's a part of it. When somebody plays a game and the character looks photorealistic, that has nothing to do with the voice actor. I know that. Every voice actor knows that. When you look at the vista that's in the background behind all of the characters, I know that has nothing to do with the voice actors. Except that when those artists hear our work, sometimes, oftentimes, it inspires them. And when we see their work on the game, we see their visuals, we're often inspired to do even better work from them, you know? And certainly, when a fan base gets attached to a character, they're attached to the whole design. They're attached to the look, they're attached to the story, they're attached to the dialogue, they're attached to how the dialogue is delivered, they're attached to how that voice inspires them, you know? I don't think that we're as important as our detractors like to think, our bloated egos think we are. But I realize that we are artists that are a part of the success of a video game. And I think we should be in a position to share in that additional success.
Definitely, because it ultimately all goes hand in hand for the fan experience, like you said.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, and I'm not going to take any position that's going to denigrate any of the artists that are also involved in the process.
Yeah. Do you know, like, you know, is this going to last for a while?
My feeling about it is it probably will last for a while, but that's because it's not an overall industry strike. You know, it's this peculiar situation where we're still working on some things and striking against others. So until there becomes, I don't know, one side gets bored or one side feels the weight of the need to make a decision, I don't see a resolution coming anytime soon. But that's just me. You know, I don't see from the other side, I don't see a willingness to sit down at the table. I don't see a desire to negotiate. But to be fair, I'm not on the committee, so there are lots and lots and lots of things that I don't see that may or may not be going on.
Well, we hope that gets resolved for the fans to experience that.
I think it's for everyone involved. I think for the visual artists who may not be working as much as they'd like to be, for the writers, for the special effects people, for the directors, for the engineers, for the actors, and for the fans. You know, I think our requests are certainly reasonable, and hopefully we'll all sit down at the table soon and then figure a way to just sign some paper and get past it.
Definitely. You were on 4 different Power Rangers entities, starting off with Mighty Morphin, the movie as Oozlings, Lost Galaxy.
So I was also in the series quite a bit before that.
Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, and we
had and I did Zeo, and I did basically all of the titles that were done here in the U.S. I at least did background villains. Nice. I may not have played any guest villains in that particular season, but every season from Mighty Morphin on, I think I started in like season 2 or season 3 maybe. But I was in every Power Rangers up until they headed down south of the equator for full-time production.
When you say that, do you mean when they went to Disney or?
I'm trying to remember. I think they did a couple of seasons in the U.S. under Disney. I could be wrong, but I think.
Okay.
Because I think the Disney acquisition was while Transformers was airing, so it was early 2002,
Yeah, that would have been Wild Force season, I believe.
Okay, so maybe, trying to remember whether Wild Force was the last one done here or the first one done down there. I think it might have been the first done in Australia, or New Zealand, or whichever one stopped using me.
But, Would you say Lightspeed Rescue was your biggest, role?
Oh, sure. Oh, by far.
Okay.
By far.
Diabolical was like, actually, even though he wasn't the main villain, he was the main villain.
No, he wasn't the main villain. I mean, he had a lot of screen time. He was certainly the main henchman. But in fact, spoiler alert, people, he was the main hero that season.
There you go. Okay. That's a different way to look at it.
He was the one, ultimately, that took down the main villain, Queen Banshira.
Correct.
Because she destroyed his henchmen. Basically, that season, the villains were structured almost like the mafia. So you had Queen Banshira, who was the head of the mafia, and then you had Vipra, who was like her consigliere, kind of giving her some advice and stuff. And then you had these various captains who would have their own crew. Okay, so Diabolico was a captain under Queen Banshira. And when she killed one of his hench people, one of his underlings, that kind of set him off and set things in motion that ultimately brought about her own destruction.
Awesome.
So in that way, Diabolico was a secondary villain, but ultimately, at the end of the year, the main hero.
So he was actually the anti-hero, if you think about it.
Man, not really. I mean, he was never really a hero, but his actions were the ultimate heroic action.
Yeah.
Because that's what saved Mariner Bay. That's what saved the Power Rangers was him defeating the villain.
Right.
I don't know if that makes him a hero or even an anti-hero. An anti-hero is like, Han Solo. They don't want to be a hero, but they end up doing it because, gosh darn it, it's the right thing to do. And none of these other, weak-kneed jellyfish is standing up to do what's right.
Okay.
An anti-hero not against the right thing. He's just not really interested in doing anything about it until he has to.
Yeah, because he also did it for kind of revenge purposes too. So I guess so. Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. He certainly didn't do it for any sort of noble reasons outside of his own loyalty to his crew.
But you were on that show with the Pink Ranger, Allison McInnes.
Yeah.
And
we are still friendly to this day.
Awesome.
And Sasha.
Awesome. She happens to be coming in town this weekend.
Who, Allison or Sasha?
Allison.
Oh, good. Well, please give her my best regards.
So,
I don't think it's fair that she stays the same age and I keep getting older, but we'll just keep that between you and me.
She does look the same. She just changed her hair a lot. But that's going to be an awesome thing to see. How was working on the set? Because
I never worked on the set.
Well, I mean, it's 80%, 90% like voice acting for that show.
Sure. I mean, that's how I got to know Allison and Sasha, was running into them in the halls, going in for sessions because they would have their ADR work for their episodes as well. But I actually, and I kick myself now for it, but I never went on set. I never visited the set. I certainly never tried on the suit, And at this point, I kind of wish I wish I had tried on the stinky, sweaty, disgusting suit.
Wow.
And I should have gotten a bit more assertive and gone to visit the set, but I was just so happy to be working that I just showed up when I was told and left when I was told.
That's still great. That's a awesome character. I hope I can bring her up to you.
Me up to her? Absolutely. Oh yeah. No, she better know my name. She'll be in big trouble if she gives you a who.
I will definitely hit you back if that happens. Can you speak about Digimon a little bit? More importantly, your HAWKMON role.
Well, as far as I can remember, HAWKMON was based on a commercial from the 1970s where a kid goes out in the forest and he asks the wise old owl how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop.
Wow.
And I don't know how those two things crossed, but they did. And then I made him British, and I gave him a lot more attitude than that commercial ever dreamed of. But, there are times when he almost feels like an alter ego because he's small and he has this high-pitched voice and he's British, he gets to say things and get away with saying things that a lot of other characters would, because he's kind of politically incorrect Jiminy Cricket.
Awesome. And do you know they have Digimon movies coming out in English? It's a whole
I
arc.
think something about that.
You wouldn't know or could say if you might have some involvement with these future films.
Unless they're union, no, I'll be involved. I don't think I'm going to be involved in any of them. Which is unfortunate because I know that they're reviving some of the characters. It would be a shame not to play HAWKMON, but I'm not in a position to work on a non-union project like that.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll hope that they decide to go union on it. That's certainly something that the fans can speak up about and let the production company know. And certainly whoever's got the English rights, the American rights, let them know that that's what you want to hear. I'm pretty sure that's why I'm not involved with new Naruto stuff and why other people are not involved with the new Naruto stuff. But, I don't want to get into that too much.
That's a bummer because, a lot of the old voice actors, original characters, they're doing, and for you not to be part of that somehow that's shocking.
Oh, okay. So I appreciate you saying that. I'm sure whoever they get, line job, and but it's nice to be remembered. I appreciate that.
So this Voltron Legendary Defenders show on Netflix.
Yes.
It kind of came out of nowhere to people.
So, sort of, kind of. I mean, it was interesting when I got cast on the show. I kind of did an internet search, and nobody was talking about it. Nobody really knew it was coming. There was a small blurb about the fact that DreamWorks acquired the rights, but other than that, nobody was saying anything. So I certainly knew for a while before it was announced about a year ago at WonderCon. But so anyhow, it was interesting holding on to that secret. But yeah, nobody really talked about it. Nobody knew it was coming. And it's been great to watch the reception, to see how much people are really enjoying it. I certainly have sat back and watched it as a fan of animation and a fan of sci-fi for a long time myself, and I've really enjoyed it. Completely divorcing myself from the fact that I'm involved in it. It's a really well-written, really well-drawn, amazingly great-looking show. The action is, to my eye, some of the best, if not the best, action animation that I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible. The 3D effects that they get, and then the camera angles and the crossfades, and just all these different small things that they do visually are just so impressive. And all the while, they also keep, it's original animation, and yet it really honors the whole notion of its anime roots, and it incorporates a lot of anime conventions. And I think it's an impressive show, and certainly great work from Joaquin and Lauren all the way down.
Yeah, me personally, I watched the original Voltron. I know pretty much everything about it, and when somebody brought this show to my attention, and this was when it first came out, and I was like, man, if they've done like 3 other remakes that have been just horrible, or 2, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess up my childhood with Voltron. And I finally got around to watching that episode, and I was so impressed. I was just like, oh my goodness, why is this not a huge thing?
It's got a pretty decent following. I mean, the day we premiered season 2 was January 20th, 2017, and Voltron was out friending Trump on his own inauguration day. So I'm pretty happy about that. As the evil emperor of the known universe, I'm certainly glad that, if only for a moment, we took Trump down.
Awesome. And I kind of I just finished season 2.
Right.
And I kind of have this theory. I don't know if you can speak on it.
Okay.
But this show is...
Well, I will. I'll tell you right now. Okay. Any reaction I have is as a fan.
Okay.
Okay, is as somebody who has also watched the 2 seasons. Maybe not as intently, but I will not make any comments As long as the show still has potentially more episodes to air, I will not make any comment on the story, actor, or representative of the production. So now that we've cleared that up, please, let's you and I have a chat.
Okay. My theory is the show is a remake, but these first 2 seasons have been a prequel to the remake.
Well, all I will say in that case is that I don't have enough experience with the previous shows to make a judgment one way or the other. I think that that's certainly an interesting concept and an interesting idea. I mean, certainly, if nothing else, it's not directly correlated because we don't have Sven, you know. But aside from that, I see how it might be an interpretation of the lead-in. I don't know that if these first 2 seasons are backstory, these 2 seasons are prequel before we start into it. I don't see this as being a remake as much as a retelling inspired by the original. Alrighty. So, I think what happens creatively in storytelling is people, they see other stories, and they read other stories. They're inspired to tell their own version. Sometimes their version of Frankenstein takes on an entirely new monster and an entirely new name, and they don't call it Frankenstein. And then you've got people who want to tell their version of the Frankenstein tale, and they highlight different elements from the Mary Shelley book, or elements from previous films, or elements from previous comic books that they've read, or whatever it is. And then they do their version of Frankenstein, and they put the word Frankenstein on it. Right? So is this Voltron that was inspired by previous Voltron and is like, okay, if I had complete control, what would I do? Or is it, viewing the same story as you say through a different prism? It's hard to say, but I don't think, from what I've seen, in the 2 seasons, and what I'm very, very, very little I know about the original series, I don't think it's a direct remake. But again, you're talking to somebody who maybe has seen 2 episodes of the original series, and that's 25 years ago. So take anything I say, grain of salt.
Like you said, this show visually is amazing. I watch it in the Ultra 4K for Netflix.
Nice.
And you can
the first time I saw it was at DreamWorks. They showed us the pilot, which is the first 3 episodes stitched together as a 1-hour mini movie, and it looked amazing up on the big screen. So I'm sitting there and going, wow, if that works on a screen this big, if it works on a 60-foot screen, it's going to look just great on a 60-inch screen, or a 21-inch screen. So I hope one day maybe they'll do something where fans will have the opportunity to see an episode or 2 or 3 in a theater experience. They do something like with Fathom Events or something. I think that would be a lot of fun for the fans.
Definitely, that'd be awesome. I mean, yeah, the visuals is just, DreamWorks has just done a great justice to this show. Now, with the marketing, we see a lot of cartoons go after a certain age group, come out with toys and stuff like that. Is this not that type of show or cartoon?
I think that's hard to say that it's targeting any age group when you've got fans of the original who are watching the new one with their kids, and both are enjoying it just as much as the other. I mean, I obviously I know there's a toy line out, but it sure seems like there are a lot of adult fans that I know that have been buying the toys.
Oh, really?
So I think if they made something too simplistic, they'd be doing themselves an injustice. So I think they're making the toys, quote unquote, for kids, but with a quality enough that works for the adult collector. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, definitely. That makes a huge bit of difference. And with you playing Emperor Zarkon, that role is so amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't know if that's the writing or is that just you as a great voice actor?
Oh, it's definitely the writing. I mean, you know, it's the writing, it's the direction, it's you know, what I bring to it as well. But by no means is it a solo effort to create a character that resonates as strongly as that. I mean, the writers have to set up the situation, and the writers have to, you know, even the cheesy lines sometimes, and I'm not saying this, I'm thinking more along the lines of, you know, Han Solo again, and stuff written by George Lucas. Sometimes those cheesy lines have to fit together well as well. You know, understanding the universe that they're spoken in. And that's the writers, that's the producers, that's the director, and eventually it's the actor playing those notes through their instrument and being properly led to the desired performance.
It's almost like times that Zarkon seems so awesome. Even though I know he's the villain, I root for him because he just, for some reason, he has a coolness to him.
You know, as they've already said, without Zarkon, they don't need Voltron. So at a certain point, you need the villain to be successful and cause chaos and give the heroes a reason to be heroic. Otherwise, it's just a whole lot of, you know, the end of the Avengers with, you know, 5-6 guys just sitting around eating shawarma.
But with us finding out that he was in season 2, spoiler, that he was a past paladin, we understand that there was at some point some good in him, or
there usually is in every villain. It's very, very rare that a villain just is evil from the very beginning and they're just evil through and through. You know, a lot of times they're sensitive that they've been hurt, or they've been betrayed, or they've been as they've felt violated. You know, I don't think you get very many villains who aren't passionate. You know, they got to care about something. They got to care pretty darn strongly. Otherwise, you know, you don't have very many passive villains. You know, it's like, all right, let's blow up Alderaan. Yeah, maybe tomorrow. You know, it doesn't really work like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're passionate from the very beginning, and then I think you do have a lot of stories like Satan and Sinestro and maybe Zarkon even, where they're the fallen angel.
Okay. At this point, we still don't know, like, what's his driving force or what happened to him to make him go all the way evil.
Well, some people might say, what makes you think he's all evil? What makes you think he's even the evil one? How come the other guys aren't the evil ones? And he's the good guy, huh?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Giving me something to think about.
It's a matter of perspective.
Man, you're getting me excited for season 3. But
well, we're still waiting on an official announcement from DreamWorks regarding that. So keep our fingers crossed.
I'm pretty sure it's coming. It's got to be. Season 2 was so great, and it's mostly Zarkon in season 2. It's mostly about him and the whole.
I thought it was a bit more Keith and Shiro centric, but which it certainly should be. You know, I'm kind of hoping we get back more to Pidge's story in season 3. Okay. You know, it seems like we kind of touched a little bit on her family, and I'd like to get into that a little bit more.
I don't know.
But, I mean, we certainly got some pretty big developments with Shiro and Keith this year, and, you know, we want to see if we get some clarification on both of those storylines in season 3.
Especially that Shiro and Keith thing really brought me to my realization of what this could be, the whole prequel notion.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, so you don't know anything about season 3?
Not a thing.
I just gotta wait.
Yep. Yep. You have to wait for official announcements. I mean, it's like, look, one of the first episodes that I remember recording for this show, I believe, ended up being episode 10 in season 2. So, was it originally supposed to be there? I don't know. Did they know that they wanted to record 2 seasons? I don't know. I just get a phone call, I show up, I read the words, I leave. They don't tell me more than I need to know. They don't send me the scripts for the shows I'm not involved in. And I couldn't even tell you. I mean, it's like we may have recorded an episode that they decided not to use. And that wouldn't be fair of me to speculate anything on season 3, and then this episode just never exists. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It may have been that we recorded an episode for season 1, and then they decided, no, that doesn't fit into the narrative, so we're just going to scrap the whole thing before it goes to animation. I'm not involved in production to the point where I would even hazard a guess on anything like that. Sorry if that makes me a buzzkill, but
not at all.
I want to be respectful, and I want to be respectful of the fans because I want to let the story unfold for them, and I want to be respectful for to Joaquin and Lauren and Tim and the rest of the production staff that Steve and the artists are all working so hard, and if I say anything and undercut any of their efforts, I mean, I don't want to do that.
And that's definitely understandable. Respect that 100%.
Thank you.
Overall, have you noticed feedback coming in for season 2? Is it just as big or bigger?
It seems overwhelmingly positive. I've had 1 or 2 people with their things that they grouse about, but you know what? You can't be all things to all people, and you can't make everybody happy all the time, and the best idea is not to try. The best way to make the biggest number of people happy is to be true to yourself, or true to the story that you're telling. Or if you can do both, do both.
Awesome. My last question.
Alrighty.
Has nothing to do with voice acting, nothing to do with cartoons. Is it true you're a Clippers season ticket holder?
Season ticket holder? Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I know that's up on IMDb. I was for about a decade, and then I just got tired of the antics of the former owner, Donald Sterling. I got tired of them kind of teasing me with being good and not being good, and and I remembered my roots. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I grew up going to Warriors games. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they've managed to draft a pretty decent team. And so no, I would say these days I'm probably even more of a Warriors fan for the last five seasons.
Oh man, you're hurting me.
Sorry, brother.
You hurt me.
Sorry, man. I used to sit. Look, I was quoted in both LA papers one time. I think it was like 2004 or so. I was at the Clippers against the Spurs, and I was just so frustrated that I started to chant "suck less." Like, I didn't even want them to be good. I just wanted them to suck a little bit less. It was just so painful to watch. Look, man, I fell in love with Darius Miles and Lamar Odom.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, and Elton Brand and Richardson, and oh my gosh, I love that team. And they just could never get it together, and they could never get calls. And I swear, I would tell people, I don't think Donald Sterling lets the referees have hot water. And that's why they just never give them any calls at home. And I got so frustrated. And the over and back call against Sam Cassell when they were playing the Suns and could have beaten the Suns in the postseason. And then they fell apart from that point, and I just said, forget it. I used to be a fan of Chris King, and I would call him Big Pasty.
Oh man.
I had my love for that team, and I eventually said, you have burned me out. I'm out of here.
Oh man. I am definitely a NBA fan and writer, so that is huge to me. I could talk about this more than anything, really. So the Warriors are your team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, I'll tell you, if you ever want to talk to a voice actor who does still support the Clippers, that would be Carlos Alazraq,
Okay.
the voice of Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, big long-time Clipper fan. He and I used to go to games together, and like I said, I just said, I can't do it anymore. You know, and then Steph Curry rolls around with his you know, his heart, his solid work ethic, his amazing shot capacity, you know, his team play, and he gets drafted, and all these other talents get drafted around him, and you look at this solid team that everybody hates, but they're all talent that they drafted, and it's like, isn't that how the thing's supposed to be done?
Yeah, one way.
Well, no, that's the way it's supposed to be done.
Right, the original.
You know, and then people got upset that Kevin Durant signed with them. And it's like, well, okay, so they signed one free agent as opposed to being like the Lakers who signed 4 free agents. You know, and that's how they build their starting lineup. When they make a bunch of trades, you know, or they pick up contracts that nobody else wants pay. And then they go ahead and they cobble together a team. I mean, it's like, so you got one guy who looks at 4 other dudes who have been drafted and goes, I want to play with that team. Why is that bad? Just because the team drafted well? Now you want to penalize the team because they drafted well? That seems kind of silly to me.
No, I don't blame them for that at all.
Yeah.
I just simply dislike them because I'm a Cavs fan.
All right. Well, that's okay.
It's got nothing to
Well,
do.
at this point, you shouldn't have any negative feelings against the Warriors.
No, I don't.
I mean, come on.
I don't.
They handed Cleveland their first title in a half a century.
Yeah.
All the Warriors had to do was win 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
Or was it 1 out of 4? Were they up 3-0 or 3-1? Tell me.
It was 3-1.
Okay, that's what I thought. So all they had to do, 1 out of 3. All you got to do, win 1 game. Go to the arena 3 different times, win 1 game. And if you can't do that, well, then you probably don't deserve to wear the ring.
Yeah.
You know?
You're the first Warriors fan to say that.
I don't know how else to view it.
You could just be
I mean,
open.
you know, the referees are always part of the game, so you always have to overcome that or ride the wave when they're backing you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I love NBA basketball. I'm still not convinced that it isn't slightly fixed. Doesn't mean, hey, look, you know what? The referees influence the outcome. It doesn't mean that Jordan didn't take off from the top of the key. You know, doesn't mean that Steph Curry didn't hit a 3-point shot from the other side of the half-court line. I mean, players still have to make the shot.
Right.
You know? But again, I'll say it again, doesn't mean that the referees don't put out a little influence on the game result.
Yeah. I just hope we wouldn't see a lot of that in the playoffs, you know.
It would be nice, but that's never been the case.
Right. Man. I think that's the
You
only
just hope for the fewest number of influential calls as possible.
Right.
All righty, Roderick. Well, I kind of have to get back to getting ready for my trip to New York this weekend.
No problem. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for your patience. Sorry for the delay, but I hope it was worth it.
No problem. Awesome. It was awesome. Thank you. And happy early birthday again.
Thanks, man. You have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye now.